Hello and welcome to Building Loved Businesses, where we talk to the leaders of businesses who the locals love to work for and buy from. Today I have a leader at a very well-recognized business in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I have Darrin Smith, the CEO of the Washington Pavilion. It's that big building downtown that used to be Washington High School, but has grown quite a ways beyond that. So Darrin, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For those who don't know, maybe for those out of town, just describe the Washington Pavilion, what it is today, and then maybe just a little bit of your past career and what brought you to the pavilion.
Yeah, so the Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science is this really unique thing. There's literally one of four facilities and entities like it anywhere in the United States. And the Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science was actually the first of those four. So the others are in Michigan, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, but we were the first. And what I mean by that is the first to combine theaters, art museums, children's science centers, education programs, bars and restaurants, preschool programs, all under one roof. So we're all familiar with theaters all over the country, right? But they're usually just theaters, or children's science centers are just children's science centers, or art museums are just art museums, and so forth and so on. We combine all of those things under one roof, and there's only three others like it. And so there was no blueprint to do this. When the leaders back in the 90s here brought this issue forward, it barely passed a public vote, like 1.5% or something like that. To convert Washington High School, which is this 100-year-old plus historic high school that had been abandoned by the school district, into this wonderful collection of things. So that's, the Reader's Digest version of the Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science and how it came to be. My background primarily has been in banking, business development, lobbying, and economic development, I would say. Those are the four categories that I would use to describe the work that I did prior to coming into this position. And we joke a little bit that, we're the odd couple because I have next to no artistic ability. I am reminded I am creative. And I think you pointed out for me once, stop saying you're not creative. You're very creative. You're just not artistic. So true. But you got to understand the history with the pavilion when this unique model was brought together. And again, no blueprint to go off of anywhere else. The organization that manages the pavilion lost money 7 of its first 11 years. It operated in the red 7 of its first 11 years.
And that was not the goal.
That was not the goal. No. Although maybe some at the time thought it was perfectly acceptable. And again, I'm not picking on anybody, but the reality is, it's primarily an arts institution and academic in some respects. And the leadership team in the very beginning was exclusively made up of arts people and academic types. And I think what they learned over the years and why they approached me in 2016 was because they had come to realize that they need diversity in the ranks, and they need some business people, some people with community relations skills and so forth to help lead the organization, along with lots of talented arts and science and education type people. So that's why, again, we joke we're kind of the odd couple, but we're making it work. We've been very, very successful the last nearly 10 years now. So it's working for us. So
it's been almost 10 years since you've been there.
Almost.
Right? Almost 10 years. What was it like when you first showed up? Like what was the pavilion? What was the, you said lost money 7 out of 11 years. What was it like there? And what was, you said, okay, we brought someone else in that's maybe not artistic, but more business and community oriented. So what was it like and what were you brought in to do?
Well, so I want to be fair to the group that was here when I started. I would say there's been this slow evolution over the years. So the pavilion opened in 1999. So we just went past our 26th anniversary. Coming out of the big recession, 08, 09, 10, the pavilion was not only operating in the red somewhat consistently in those years, but was also about $1 million in debt. So they, lived on the proverbial credit card to get through and then realized we really don't have a good way of paying this back. let alone operating in the black. They had moved on. They were transitioning to a new CEO at that time, and the board chair, who was a recently retired business person and lobbyist, stepped in on what was supposed to be 6 months, stayed 6 years, but he was very good at fundraising, very good with community relations and other things. And so they slowly but surely started figuring out, maybe this is the formula. Mm-hmm. And so when I came in, what I would say I found was, by and large, a place that was starting to find its footing, if it could get out of its own way enough, was just really lacking a lot of good business processes. Mm-hmm. I kind of joked that, look, they started bringing more money in through the front door. The problem is it was going out the back door. And so we just needed to pause in between. Let's continue to grow our revenue in the, at the trajectory that they were starting to get on, but do a much better job with expense management and being efficient with those customer dollars, donor dollars, and so forth. So I would say, by and large, Nathan, I found a place that was very siloed because of the way it was structured going back to 1999. It was very siloed.
Because of all those different things, right? Yeah. Trying to do 4 or 5 or 8 different things under one roof.
That, and it was, again, I like to use analogies for better or worse. What I told the group at the time is, look, we're not a union, we're a confederacy. So we've got to evolve from the confederacy to the union. We had all these different areas doing their own thing, but at the end of the day, we all work for the same organization. There's one bottom line. By the way, a lot of people think, the Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science is owned by the city, therefore it's run by the city, they're city employees. Not true. Huge misconception. We are a private nonprofit organization, and certainly we have contracts to manage city facilities, but that's really the extent of it. So just found a place that was really needing, a new culture, new environment, good business practices. That's really what we were lacking.
Yeah, I want to focus in on that word culture. Yeah. Right. What was the culture like at that point? Mm-hmm. How did that group view itself, and how did you come to realize that this needs to evolve a little bit? And what did you want to go toward?
Yeah, I would say, again, I'm going to go back to very siloed. It was insane, really, at the lack of communication and teamwork and partnership across department lines. Now, that group at that time thought it was perfectly normal. This is the way it's been. What's wrong with this? Right. So when you're new going in somewhere, you have this wonderful opportunity for a somewhat brief period of time where you see all the dysfunction, you see all the warts, so clear to you, but it's not to others who have been there, and it fades over time. That's the challenge. So I would just say I knew right away that in addition to getting good business practices in place, which is something I could do, we could make that happen. What was going to take longer was we need this culture change. We need a one pavilion attitude. And just to remind everybody, again, at the end of the day, guys, we all play on the same team. There's no separate teams, separate players, but all part of the same team. So that's what we went to work on.
Yeah. I remember as we were trying to come up with what does that look like, right? We were talking about the Sidewalk Arts Festival, right? To say that phrase, it's always Sidewalk Arts Festival Day, right? Maybe just talk through that and what culture, those culture statements and what you were driving toward.
I mean, I think you summarized well. So in our world, the Sidewalk Arts Festival is like the largest outdoor arts festival in the region. You have tens of thousands of people come down on a Saturday, and it requires virtually everybody, the entire team, doing something somewhere, outside, sometimes inside the building to pull that off.
Something that's not typically their job description.
Sometimes it's not their job description, but they have a skill set, and we need it for that day. So, it's just developing that mentality that it's not just for that one event. If we can do it once a year, why can't we do it more often? Now, look, in theory, that all sounds wonderful. But there's a balance. Like, you can't have Sidewalk Arts Festival per se every single day. Again, Last year, Nathan, we had between the Pavilion and Orpheum, we hosted over 2,200 events. We're open 360 days. This year we'll be open more than 360 days because we have Grinch Broadway show over Christmas, right? So now that's everything from the bank across the street renting our boardroom for a lunch meeting to a Broadway show and everything in between. But 2,200 events. So it's a busy place and a busy staff. Everybody's busy. But it's more of a mindset than it is really focused around an individual event or events. Mm-hmm. It's a mindset of we are one team. At the end of the day, if that event or that department does well, we do well. If they win, we win. If they lose, we lose. So, it's still something we work on. It's not perfect. And I don't know that it ever gets perfect. But so I want to be clear about that too. We're still working on things, but I feel like it's remarkably improved. And, of course, at the end of the day, results are what you're judged by. And we've had really good results for the last several years. So
yeah, great. And one aspect of that culture that I really want to touch on is that now real hyper focus on the guest experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. How did you come to see that was going to be key to the pavilion, especially, right? Because you talk about all these diverse offerings. Yeah. A lot of the underlying theme there is that arts and entertainment.
Yep.
Right. So how did you come to see that a real renewed focus on the guest experience was going to be an important part of that culture shift?
I would say probably a couple things. One, trips to Disney.
Yeah.
I love Disney.
Yeah.
I just love everything about it. I love the feeling you have when you're there. Mm-hmm. You cannot find a piece of garbage. You cannot find a stain. It's oddly perfect.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. It's the feeling you have when you're there. And then I think so much of the world has moved in the direction of being so transactional and hyper efficient, focus and so forth. And those things are important from a business perspective. You have to evolve with the times with technology. Their technological demands have increased dramatically. We have to keep up with those things. But at the end of the day, I still have a sneaking suspicion that people, they like to feel good where they go. They like to escape reality for a period of time. And so that's really what we decided. Let's lean into that. I think a lot of businesses and other places are moving away from that feeling. And it's just, if we can give you something as cheap as possible, you'll probably like that. And people do on some level, but once in a while they yearn for a special experience and the way it used to be and those types of things. And so I think it's just all of the above. Even though we're coming super efficient and meeting technological demands of customers with our ticketing technology and all these things, delivery of products and services to customers, we will always have a box office of human beings.
Yeah.
And we're hearing more and more this positive feedback. It could be a group that hires us to do ticketing for them. And they say, before it's just 800 number and hope for the best. That doesn't feel good. We love the fact that you have smiling, happy, positive people waiting at a window or on the other phone for us or our customers to call if need be. Otherwise, we'll take care of it on the website. We like that too. So we offer both. That's what we're striving for.
Yeah, great. Right. You have to have a baseline of efficiency, right? If it's too hard for the customer, they're going to check out. But you're also you're not going to beat Netflix on efficiency.
That's right.
Right. I can go home and watch Hamilton tonight.
That's right.
Sitting in my pajamas.
Yep. Yes.
And just on my couch.
Yep.
Right. So in some ways, that's the competition.
It is.
Right. But your unfair advantage is we have people that will take care of you.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And I think for us, maybe for some competitors in some industries, it's one or the other. And for us, I think it's, look, enjoy your Netflix, enjoy Fandango at home, enjoy some of these things, but then once in a while come down and have a different entertainment experience with us. So for us, it's really not pitting ourselves against other things and saying it's an either or. there's a reality of that's going to happen. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But when you watch a movie in your pajamas 5 consecutive nights or 5 consecutive weeks, at some point as humans, even if you're a little introverted, at some point you're like, I want to go be around people. I want to go have a special experience. Where can I do that? It doesn't feel like herding cattle and just mass this and mass that. Have a special experience with smiling people, nice people, and just go, escape the reality of my life for a couple hours of getting the kids to soccer and going to work and the boss who keeps asking me about that report and the deadline and on and on and on. And I think the Pavilion and the Orpheum and places that we're involved in offer that.
So I was just having this conversation with someone today about how in Sioux Falls, everybody's so nice and helpful, right? And I think that's true. And one of the dangers of that could be, oh yeah, our guest experience is great, right? We're good enough. Everybody likes it, right? And one of the things the Pavilion committed to was measuring it,
Yep.
right? And actually doing a consistent net promoter score,
Yes.
and getting that feedback from the customer,
Yes.
right? Letting them have a voice
Yep.
to say, how are they really?
That's right.
In what ways do they like it? In what ways don't they?
That's right.
So talk about that journey a little bit and how you started soliciting that customer feedback and maybe some of the changes it led you to make.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important because you can think all kinds of things about yourself, but it's not really real until you have customers and others start telling you and giving you that honest feedback. So you have to have a way to get honest feedback and to get enough of it to feel like it's relevant. And so, we really started first and foremost in that Broadway area with our performing arts because, again, we just have, few 100,000 people come in annually for a wide variety of things. So we really zeroed in on our Broadway season and those customers and, the thousands of subscribers we have and tens of thousands of ticket buyers, really zeroed in there and learned how to do it and do it well and get feedback. And now we've broadened that to into our museums, into our food and beverage program. And eventually we'd like to do it, in as many areas as we can. But it takes time to build that foundation. I'm glad we did it the way we did it, where we could have said, hey, let's get surveys out in 5 different areas, and we'd have done them all, mediocre.
Yeah.
We built a foundation of understanding how to do it, and now we're moving into other areas. But we're very pleased, with our NPS scores. In the performances area, they're typically around 85.
Yep.
We've had some shows go into the 90s. Organization wide, we're at 83. Now, again, I want to be fair, full transparency. Good chunk of those numbers are driven on the performances side. We're really just ramping up, getting more responses in the museums and food and beverage. It's tougher. For whatever reason, we've trained people well. On the Broadway side, they get an email the night of, probably before they get to their car.
And you're getting thousands of responses a year, right?
Thousands. And we, again, they're getting an email in their inbox before they get to their car. Okay.
Yeah.
With our museums, it's a little tougher. Typically that's a mom bringing a couple young kids in. She's got all she can do to take care of that. And then she's got this survey in her inbox she probably doesn't see till that night when she gets a break for the first time. Yeah. So we've got to work on how do we get more responses there. And we are, and we will. But again, we've proven that we can do this in our Broadway area and with the performing arts, and very pleased with the feedback there.
And it has given you also some specific things to improve, right? Where that customers will actually tell you.
Yes, they will.
Right? If you ask them.
If you ask them.
They'll say. And sometimes it's things like, if we've been there long enough, we just don't see. No. And go back to what you said when you first showed up at the Pavilion, right?
Yeah.
Now we've been there a while and it's like, oh yeah, I never noticed that. But to a customer, that's a negative.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'd just give one really simple example. And this is, again, bringing fresh perspective, diverse ideas into an organization and why that can be so good. Some of the initial feedback was, you're selling me stuff in the lobby. You're selling me popcorn. You're selling me candy. You're selling me drinks, and yet I can't take them in. 10 steps later, your usher's blocking me at the door, right?
Yeah.
And so again, initially it was, well, that's a tradition and, whatever. Yeah, but you don't find that anywhere else. I can go to a concert at the Premier Center. I can go to a movie at the movie theater. I can go to a baseball game somewhere and sit right there and enjoy my entertainment with something in each hand. So again, we were able to, the feedback was such that, this is clearly what people want, and they're not distinguishing between here and other places. So there's a balance to how we can do this. But sometimes you need that overwhelming number or that slap in the face to be like, what are we doing here?
Right.
So,
I think I also remember, and a lot of times too, it's things that the team might be hearing from you, but when you're confronted directly with it by customer feedback, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, they really do care about that, right?
And that's why it's so important.
They do care about that dust bunny in the corner.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
That is like, the janitor will get to that this weekend.
That's right, because otherwise it could just be a he said, she said. Or in our case, it could have been, Darrin, you don't understand.
Right.
You're not, and you're right, I'm not. I'm more like the 200,000 people out there that just want to go somewhere and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And I can do this in these other places. And, at the end of the day, what we talk about a lot is, and there's that balance, but we're here for people. And I think that's all businesses. I don't care what you do. We are here for the customers. It's really about what the customers want. It's not about what we want.
Right.
Now, can we try to determine what we think they want? Of course, that's, again, what a lot of businesses do. But then the ultimate determiner is results. If they're buying something, they want it. If they're not buying it, they probably don't want it unless something wrong with your marketing, right? And so that's really, at the end of the day, what everything we do is about. It's about the guest. It's not about us. It's not about what we want. It's not about our convenience. It's what does the customer want? How do they want it? When do they want it? That's what it's about.
Right. Now, another part of this shift to really focusing on the guest experience was training, right? To working with the team. This is where you started working with us, right? To figure out, how do we, again, shift that mindset, give people ideas, strategies, tools on how to improve the guest experience. How has that gone within the pavilion?
Well, I'm a big fan of the 5-4 model, okay? And for us, when I came to the conclusion at some point in those first few years that, look, okay, now we need to go up a level. We've straightened all the business processes and practices out, and the dollars are better and all that stuff. But there's still a whole other level, like 5 other levels for us to get to. Now it's the human side of things we have to improve upon. The culture, the attitudes, the staffing, the skills, the training. And so I'm a big fan of the model. For us, again, we're open 360 days a year, sometimes some years more. There's somebody in the building at 6 a.m. every day, if not earlier, and likely the last person out most nights is midnight. And so we got all these different schedules. So to get everybody rounded up in a big theater all at once for one big day of training is not only not feasible, I also don't think it's very effective. I have no way of knowing who's paying attention, who's scrolling on their phone, who's sleeping in the back. We've got over 100 employees. And so none of that works. So the 5-4 model is, in my opinion, these are my words, we'll take the training to you. However it's most convenient for you. Again, just like customers, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. So, we really started leaning into it. I like it because it's not one time a year. It's not quarterly. It's not even monthly. It's weekly. And we drip on people. One of the videos is Steph Curry and the free throws. And it's so true. You don't make 100 free throws and say, well, I got this down. I'm good forever.
We got an NPS of 83. We don't need to improve.
No.
We can just relax now.
Exactly. Never have to practice that again. No, it doesn't work. And for the person who is willing to shoot 100 free throws every day, they're very likely going to have success shooting free throws. And so that's what I love about the model is we drip on people. We have these assignments that are anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes a week. They're video based. You do them at your convenience, wherever that happens to be. And we're dripping. We're not making them experts with every assignment. In 30 minutes, we'll make you an expert. No, it's not the point. It's actually the opposite. It's the cumulative effect. And I mean, for us, it's just made a huge difference. I see it in the actions. I see it in the words. I hear people using phrases that we hear in these assignments on a regular basis. And to me, it's like, okay, it's working.
Yeah, great. You know, one thing too, and we talked about, right, in terms of taking the foot off the gas, right? So in my words, kind of got the ship righted, right? You said things are going good.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, you decided, let's set some big goals.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can really accomplish here.
Yep.
And what I love about that is goal setting is such an important part of, right, of really continuing that upward trajectory.
Yes.
Right? The only way to make your future better, only way to make your present better is make your future bigger.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So you guys set some big goals and your vivid vision goals. So talk us through that. Like, what led you to say, you know what, let's really see what the team's capable of, and then what's been the impact?
Yeah, I've always believed that humans are these incredible beings, and they will, wherever you set the bar, wherever you put that carrot out in front of them, most people, and especially the right people, they will reach that bar. If you set it high, they're probably going to reach a high bar. If you set it low, it's probably where they're going to settle for. You know, for those who like to work out on a regular basis, I've always found this interesting. I'll just use myself. If I tell myself, look, I'm doing sets of 20 push-ups, it's amazing around 15. I start getting a little tired. Oh, I'm getting close to the finish line. Now, if I'm doing sets of 30 or 40, I don't feel that or think that until 25 or 35. And so, again, I just think that's who we are as people. If you have the right people, you set the bar high, they'll chase it and go after it. So that's really what we wanted to do. And then I think it's just important for people to know, define winning.
Right.
What does winning mean? You know, in sports, there's a scoreboard. Everybody knows what that is. My score has to be higher than theirs when the clock says 0. But it's harder in real life or in work. And so I think with these vivid vision goals, the value is you boil it down to maybe 3, 4, or 5 truly core things that are most important. And you say, all right, here's what we're going to go after. And then you share with the team on a regular basis, here's where we are as far as measuring goes. So that's what we did.
Right. Now, let's just talk through those goals a minute, right? So you set a membership goal, an NPS goal, a revenue goal, a development revenue goal.
Yes.
Just talk through what did you have your sights set on, and how did they go?
Yeah, each of those was important for different reasons, and we chose those for different reasons. So maybe just taking one at a time, quickly. The NPS score, we talked about that already, but why that's so important. If your guests are happy, your results are probably going to be good. Most likely. You're giving yourself a huge head start.
And I've seen this in organizations too. If you have a revenue goal and not an NPS goal,
that's right.
Well, then just beat up the customers until they pay.
It's about maximum efficiency and then that
you got to balance those though.
Because
that's
balance.
Stealing profits from the future.
That's exactly right. It's a very short-term strategy. Now, again, you can't say, well, we're just going to go overboard and have the gold standard for everything and whatever, because you won't get to year 3 or 4.
That's right.
So it's balance. That's always a key word. For us, NPS, we learned that 70 is if you are at 70 or higher with your NPS score, that's a good place to be. What we talk about a lot is 70s are good, 80s are really good, but it goes to 100, right? So the scale goes to 100. And so until you hit 100, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back either. But that was very important. Our customers happy. So that was number one. Development, an organization like ours, as a nonprofit, our annual Budget this year is somewhere between $17-18 million. And, 60+% of that budget is selling something. But 15% of that is what we call developments, fundraising. It's individual support, it's corporate sponsorships, corporate support. That is always going to be a very important part of any nonprofit model. And it's this huge advantage you have. You have a good cause. So you're selling all kinds of things over here daily, but you also have this other opportunity to go to people and say, hey, if you believe in our cause, you can help support us so we can do all these other things and do it as cost effectively as possible and help some groups that can't afford it and all those things. So we know we need to keep growing in that area. So I want to say we were at like 1.35 million when we set these Vivid Vision goals 3 years ago. Our goal is to get to 2 million. And I think, at the end of 2025 here, we'll end up around 2.2 million. So, we're going to be over that. We surpassed our MPS goal. We talked about that. We're at 83. And so then the revenue goal is a big one, and memberships. So memberships, we set the bar at 75% growth because, again, we just felt like it's there. It's what we're capable of. It's what we should be doing. Our memberships historically have been lower than what they should have been. We got the right team in place. We're offering the right things. So 75% over 3 years. So pretty aggressive. At the end of 2025, we're projecting to end at 74% growth. So we can still change that. We've got about 2.5 months. But we're essentially going to get there. Pretty darn close. And so we're very happy with that. That's going well. And then the big one really is the revenue. When you look at these, maybe you say, well, you're not supposed to have a favorite child or whatever. Well, at the end of the day, I mean, it's truly the bottom line that matters.
Like you said earlier, they're either buying it or they're not.
That's right.
Right. And that is the revenue is never your vision.
Correct.
Right. But it's the applause you receive for achieving your vision.
That's exactly what it is. And all those other things and everything we do kind of rolls up to that. So, so for us, we set a revenue goal. And we set that, 14 million. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe it was from 11 million. So again, these are over 3 years from 2022 to 2025. Our revenue was 11 million annually in 2022. And I think it had dipped maybe just a bit going through COVID, of course, and coming out. But we were at 11 million with a goal of getting to 14 million 3 years later. So $1 million a year in growth. So what's that, about 10%, give or take. And again, this year, our fiscal year is not the same as a calendar year. This past fiscal year, our total revenue was 15.5 million, but this year is going to be north of 17 million. So it depends on how you want to measure that. But let's just split the difference and say we're probably somewhere between $16-17 million after the equivalent of 3 calendar years, up from 11 million. So we're happy with that. And so again, of course, the challenge is managing your expenses along the way and labor and all that stuff too. But we chose to measure revenue growth.
Yeah, great. Well, good work.
Thank you.
Congratulations on hitting all those. So now, you said, right, when the pavilion opened, it was 1 of 1.
Yes.
And now there's 4.
Yeah.
So you've decided we're going to leave them in the dust.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're going to take on all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The Orpheum that you already talked about. Sidewalk Arts Festival, Sculpture Walk, Alcove, Lally Cooler. Right? So as you think about bringing in all these new things that the pavilion is doing and has done, what's important to keep the team focused? How do you bring on that level of new things and keep everyone, again, not in silos, but marching forward together?
Yeah, well, I think because we're doing those things, it continues to break down any silos we have because the model is changing from what it's always been. And with all those things you mentioned, all new in the last 5 years, and most of them more recently, they grew out of what we discovered early on in my time was diversity is our friend. The more diversified our business model is, the better off we are. We had all our eggs in the Broadway basket 10 years ago, and that was a good-looking basket, but one basket nonetheless. And as we really tackled aggressively improving our science center experience, for example, and our visual arts center experience. Now, those areas had 5 consecutive years of declining attendance when I started.
Wow.
And we rolled up our sleeves, and within 2.5 years, we went from 60,000 attendees to 120,000 attendees. We doubled what we were doing. We were increasing every year. So we discovered diversification is a good thing. And we were also discovering what we're good at. Instead of having this inferiority complex and, I just don't know if people will like us and like what we do. Gosh, I don't know. It was, no, we're good at some things. We're actually really good at some things. And we're good at things that we think the community wants more of. So really a lot of those, it was a combination of organic in some respects and at the same time recognition and then very intentional. So our music festival, for example, to have a major outdoor music festival, to me and a lot of folks at our place, we just see it. It's an extension of what we do, except we're not doing it under a roof and within 4 walls. We're doing it outside somewhere at a major outdoor venue. But at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Right.
So there's a lot of examples like that. Art consulting. We have this talented team in our nationally accredited art museum. And we have the ability to get great artwork throughout this community. And people have a hunger for it. They just don't know how or where or when, who can help them. We're doing that. That's doing really well. There's a number of things. We're going out into the community. We're providing ticketing services for so many groups. We provide management services for different groups and lots of groups that people would know that have community impact. And so we're just leaning into that. Now, at the end of the day, I think we're probably going to find that we're good at many of those things, but not all of them ultimately.
Yeah.
But that's part of the process too. And then you just kind of strip that down and, all right, now let's be really, really good at these core things. It has to be more than just what the pavilion has always done. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be 100 things, and maybe it can't be 100 things. Right. So we're going to find out. But that's the process we're going through right now.
Good. Sounds like running it like a business, right?
Yeah.
Testing, iterating, seeing what we're good at, and doubling down on that.
Yep. Knowing when to cut your losses without quitting too early.
And that's not always easy to know.
No, you're not going to bat 1,000. I had a boss years ago that I had no clue what he meant at the time. I do now. He said, look, here's all the orientation you're going to get. If you make too many bad loans, we're going to fire you. If you don't make any bad loans, we're going to fire you.
Yeah.
And of course, that means that, if you're charging into a house on fire without a plan on a regular basis and you're losing a lot, this is not going to work. Yeah. But if you're not taking any risk, if you're not pushing the envelope at all, ever, that's probably not going to work long term. You're going to get passed up by somebody who sees those opportunities and jumps on them. And
So let's finish with long term. Where's the pavilion going from here? What do you see for the future, and what are you really focused on, both kind of with the team as you continue to work on that culture and guest experience, but then also with the overall offerings? Where's it going?
Well, I'm going to start at the 30,000 foot level or higher and say, we aspire to cement ourselves as the regional hub for entertainment, arts, culture, education. We aspire to be the place that everybody thinks of when you think of those things. This is where you go, to the Washington Pavilion, to the Orpheum Theater, or somewhere that management group is involved in. That's what we aspire to be. And then I would say, tack on to that guest experience. Where can I go for a special experience and to feel special? And it's where the Washington Pavilion Management Company is involved, regardless of the venue. Could be our outdoor music festival too, our retail store downtown, any number of places. And then drilling down from there, I'm gonna repeat the answer I gave just a moment ago. We are involved in multiple facilities. We've got the outdoor music festival. We got a downtown retail store and a new development. We're involved in a new restaurant, bar and grill in a new park downtown, art consulting services, management services, all those things. But now we're moving into that phase where let's find out which of those things we're really good at. It might be all of them. It might not be.
Yeah.
Which ones stick? Because we're not necessarily trying to compete with anybody in any of those things. We went into those areas because we felt like there was a gap in the community or in the region, and there was a need. In other words, an opportunity. But we're going to continue to do the things where we prove to ourselves that we're really good at. Yeah. And then we're not going to do those things that we're not really good at.
Great. And you'll continue to get the guest feedback that will tell you what's going good.
That's right.
Yeah, great. Well, Darrin, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. And for all of you watching or listening, thank you for listening to another episode of Building Loved Businesses. If you enjoyed this one as much as I did, be sure to share it with a friend and then subscribe on your favorite streaming platform so that you never miss an episode of Building Loved Businesses.